Hey everybody, it's been a while since I've made a video. I've been really busy with work and just home life and everything else that's been going on. I've been working on a lot of cool stuff that I'm hoping that I can share sometime in the future in some other videos. In this video, what we're going to talk about is one of those things and something that I've been working on for a little while now, and it's been really fun just trying to think of how to go about this. But as you see here, I've got GitHub open, and what this is called is the BIM Analytics platform, or at least it's an idea of a name. And the idea of this is to be able to have a tool that that somebody can leverage, that has database, like they can use it as a database tool, or to be able to have that structure, or to pull that structure on site, or leverage it in the cloud, but to store and track information from different software, Revit, Inkscape, Dynamo, open source tools like FreeCAD, just a variety of different things. And then pull that information into a database, and then have some visual tools, such as leveraging like Tableau, leveraging that to visualize that information, to make predictions, to monitor Revit models, monitor just general information, and possibly leverage that data to create new information, maybe through GANs, or maybe leverage machine learning to just learn how people model, and then start to predict that and start to model things automatically, or understand how somebody annotates, see how they fix an annotation, or see how they issue drawings. And then, since we're tracking that data, leverage that to then create a system that automatically annotates. So things like that. That's the long-term big picture of this. But currently, at this stage, I've been mostly gathering information, trying to get data, trying to figure out what database to use, which is like really hard because there's relational databases which have limitations. There's no relational databases, or no SQL, which are a little bit different and have their own pros and cons. There's document databases, all these different ones. Currently, what I'm looking into is Couchbase, or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of it. Yeah, Couchbase, and it's a tool I'm looking into because I heard that those types of tools, kind of like Elasticsearch or MongoDB, they're kind of the same but not the same. But they're used to track some of those log files. But at the same time, it's like, if that's what I want to track, that would be great. But it's a variety of data that I'm hoping that this tool, or this variety of tools, can track. So maybe there's going to be a mix between this database type and like this, a different database type, maybe a relational database, maybe like a data lake, so using Hadoop and some of those other tools. It's hard to say, but currently the phase that I'm in, and I am working on some code things, but the current phase I'm in right now is really just trying to systematically approach this just in a systematic way, or to really think about what it is that this tool, or what I want this tool to achieve, or what's important, possibly important to people. And so I've been really trying to plan it. So it's, I'm kind of in the planning phase of it, but because for a while I was just kind of, sitting down, messing around with it. But, I was watching some courses on LinkedIn Learning, which I'll share below, that were about the software planning stage. And at that point I realized, I didn't really have any of that. So I wanted to start creating those things. So I got some flow diagrams. I've got some just some outlines that I'm currently working on, some things like that, some user stories to outline how people would possibly use this. So little things to really nail down what's the overall goal, what's the planning behind this. I'll get further into planning, like planning out the actual code, like class names, the structure of that. So that's currently where I'm at now. And so right now you see I have open GitHub, and to kind of show you, if we scroll down, I've got some functional requirements. This is something that changes all the time. I've got some things listed here just to just start getting the ideas flowing. So this list is going to grow or reduce, and change in different ways. The tools to track / ever increasing, that was just a hint for anybody else that may get on here, that this is always going to be increasing. There's always going to be more tools. For example, which isn't listed here, there's a tool called FreeCAD. I have yet to really dive into this and see what kind of data it generates on the back end that we can track, or through the actual tool, what information we can actually pull from it automatically. But again, that's a tool that could be added to this list, because the idea is it isn't going to be just Autodesk software, but anything, Hyper, just a variety of different tools, Libre, Navisworks, Dynamo, just anything that generates data or anything that AEC uses, track that and start to learn from it, start to predict from it, possibly start to create new information from such things as GANs, or use machine learning to start to make real like future predictions that we can plan around. Things like that, because the data is so incredibly powerful, and there's so much that we can learn from it. And having an open source tool that just anybody can use, they can grab it and start to leverage that information immediately, start to track those things, start to just see the power behind it. One of the functional requirements I'm thinking about is having the option to share data with anybody. So if you're generating that data, just share it with other AEC firms, and collectively leverage that information together to make better decisions, or to make better designs for people. Down here I've got some database stuff, and it just outlines some requirements. It lists multiple database types, and then some other options or other platforms. So this is the relational database stuff. So Oracle's one of the options, and then some other platforms that kind of do the same thing. Currently, what I'm looking at is document databases. I'm not looking at MongoDB. I'm looking at Couchbase. So I need to update this. And so this just lists out some things, mostly for just research, because I'm trying to figure out what the best approach is. And it's something I still need to figure out. Some of the Apache tools for like data lakes, or creating data lakes, I was looking into that as well. That's for me incredibly complex. There's a lot going on that I need to figure out there to see if that's a good option. But currently, Couchbase, I'm going to check that out, see what kind of data I can create and leverage. The main tool I'm using is Python. So in Jupyter Notebooks, I kind of just use that to test stuff out, but I usually just kind of port that over to Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, and then I'll build the application there. I'm at no means a programmer. I'm not an expert in it. I'm not a data scientist or an expert in that. I'm just passionate and just have a lot. I have a lot of fun just messing around with this stuff. And I'm hoping to share this with other folks to get them, to see the power behind data, maybe to spark some ideas within them, or get them involved with this project. Whatever the case is, getting more people to leverage data, because I think it's incredibly important. So one of the things I'm working on currently, and I guess I'll show you the planning before I jump over to just the little bit of code I do have, is I've got so I do think Dash Plotly is a good option for a web application. I don't actually entirely know if it's the best option, but I'm going to look into it and see what kind of tool. That, it's what's nice about it, you can build it all in Python, which is where I'm most comfortable. So it's a big pro for me, but I'm going to see how good it is, and if it can achieve what I'm hoping this tool will have. So, and then down here, just a use case diagram, which is just a flow chart, or it's different flow diagrams that just show, hey, this BIM manager, he wants to do this, so it grabs this type of data, and these are the things that they can do with that data. So just some different options like that, just to outline or start to really think about how people are going to use this platform. So that'll be in the use case diagrams. Use stories is a more high level version of that. So, they want to use, I want to see user data. Okay. It goes to dashboard, it goes to journal file information for all users. So simple things like that. The wireframe right now, this is just a default wireframe I pulled down from Draw.io, which is a free tool anybody can use. And it's just a default one currently, so I haven't done anything with this. I still need to update and edit it. But hopefully I can just start to mock up different visuals and different things like that. I still have no idea what the web application is going to even look like. But I thought if I could just sit down and mess around with it, it may spark some ideas. Currently, what I'm working on is the Revit, so a combination of this planning stuff and Revit parser, which I'm still having a lot of trouble doing. I can pull a lot of the information at the beginning. That seems to be, easy. I can get the build, which I can figure out, what the build version and what, the exact version of what Revit that is, and quickly figure out if somebody's on the wrong Revit version or whatever. So I can get information like that, or what computer, but I'm hoping to parse through all of this, or at least what's important, just to quickly diagnose, right on the fly, if somebody's having a or an issue or an error, and it's like, okay, this is an error. They crashed their computer. It logs that information. It tracks it. It gives us we're way more. We have a way more better understanding of what affects our models, what causes those issues. If that issue is again, happens again on another project with another user, or a user on the other side of the world in a different office, we have a premise or something to start with to start to diagnose that issue, because we have the data to start to track. We could see what are there correlations between these errors on both these computers, what possibly is related, things like that. And so by parsing through this, we can start to track that. Also, what their picks and clicks are. Things, start to understand how they leverage Revit. How do they use it? So currently, I'm, trying to parse this. I'm not having that much luck. There is, I found that if I just dump this over to a CSV file, a comma delimited CSV file, I get some type of, some structure. It's separated on different lines. It does separate if there's a comma in the same line, it'll separate it and put it on a different line. So this isn't the most useful information. So the idea is to parse through it and to pull out real data, real information, structure it in a way that makes a lot of sense to the person that's viewing this information and trying to learn from it. I've got some resources up here, so I'm looking at how to read a journal file. So starting with the basics, just reading through that information. This video, I watched a portion of it. It seems pretty good, so I'm gonna finish watching that. I've read this before, but I'm gonna reread it again. The part 2 of that same article kind of dive through that and figure out what's going on with the journal files, if there's anything that I can really pull from it or parse, because the idea is that I want to parse this information so I can store it, not necessarily read it or understand it. Because for the most part, I would say that I've got that down. It's more or less, how do I pull that information out in a logical way? A journal file story part 1, an older article, but again, just a resource to read through. A journal file parser. So I'm going to check this out. This pulls out these list of items here. And then it stores that information in an Excel document. I haven't tested this out, so I'm going to check it out and just look at the code and see what's going on in there. Because if I can figure out how they're parsing this, I could probably figure out the rest of it, but it's hard to say what's changed in 9 years, or what's been added, what's different about the journal files now. So it's definitely I'm hoping to get some information out of that, but we'll see. And that's it, really. And the other thing I'm working on is the BIM 360 data, which is incredibly easy to pull out. We can pull all that information out by just making an API request, and we can pull that and store it into a database. So currently I've got like a list of just Python scripts that pull out different information. I got to figure out how to kind of optimize that or change it a bit. I'm thinking that I'm just going to start with making a bunch of Postman API requests, because that's a tool that I use at the beginning to just test and make sure that I can make the request, and then I port it over to Python. So I'm going to probably create all the different requests that are out on the Forge documentation, just so I can have them, and then port that over to Python and figure out, how should I structure this all together? How should I combine this? How is this going to interact through the web application? How are we going to leverage this tool or these different requests? But interacting with Forge or interacting with BIM 360 is incredibly easy. When I get finished with that code, I'll upload that, but currently it's hard to upload that without also leaking a bunch of information that I shouldn't, or a bunch of secret, I guess, like access token information, just things that can't be shared. So I've got to figure out how to separate that, which shouldn't be an issue. I need to put it into a module of some sort. Get that separated so that I can just import that information into the script that's actually pushing the request up to the API and pulling the data down, so that I can post that and share that with you while it's being developed. But anyways, this is what I got. I'm hoping to post a video every week on this topic, just to say, hey, this is the progression I've made. This is what I've done up to this point. These are the things I've added. These are the things that have changed, just different stuff like that. But hopefully you like this video. Make sure to like, share, comment if you want to. Subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll just keep, sharing things as much as I can. If you want to contribute to this, you can reach out to me directly, or you can comment on this, or you can send me an email, whatever the case. Feel free to do as much as you want. But the idea is that this gets out and people, it's free and anybody can use it, and they can start to leverage your data, and we all get better. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.